Lahore, the diplomatic enclave inside Islamabad, the Noor Khan Air Base, a critical military base that is operated by the Pakistan military. This is something huge when it comes to the entire offensive between India and Pakistan, where the Pakistan establishment has now admitted that India has drawn blood in this entire conflict. And also top government sources making it clear this is a measured response that's coming in from the Indian side. India also making it extremely clear if Pakistan attacks, there will be a measured counter-offensive to any escalation coming in from the Pakistani side.
If you are looking at kinetic warfare, Group Captain, I want to bring you in on the fact that, Ayushman just shared some very critical information that this is a tit-for-tat response coming in. India has avenged for that attack that took place at the Pathankot base. And we were all, waking up to this very disturbing information of how India's military installations, whether Udhampur or Pathankot, all of them were being targeted by Pakistan. And today, this is a befitting response. And as Ayushman was saying, a reminder to Pakistan that, they will be served a response in the way they carry out their own attacks against India.
Absolutely. In fact, I feel very sad for Pathankot because I served there for 3 years. I was a frontline fighter squadron flight commander in the mid-2000s. And like I was saying previously, it's very, very close to border. And it already faced one brunt. If you remember, we had a Pathankot terrorist infiltration. That time we didn't do much against these people, but today they got the medicine of what they've been doing. And I slightly, Akanksha, beg to differ on the tit-for-tat operation, because they sent only pav kilo ka bomb, we sent 2,000-pounder bomb. So there is, it's more tat than what they did to us is something, I want to make our viewers happy about. We've said thus and no more. If I can hit Noor Khan, I can hit Bihari, I can hit Sargodha, I can hit any base I want, and I can hit it simultaneously.
That's a very critical piece of information for all our viewers who are perhaps not so well versed with these locations. And since you've served, at Pathankot, and I'm sure you, as you also talked about the importance of Noor Khan Air Base, give us a sense of what are these locations, how critical they are, and what is the feat that we are looking at? Because remember, as you said that that also indicates that we can go deep inside enemy territory.
Absolutely, and this is the trailer hai, Akanksha. Picture to agar if they want to see the whole movie, picture to abhi baki hai. But बस लगता है कि उनको टिकट लेनी पड़ेगी. But be that as it may, see, we hit Noor Khan probably with 1 or maximum 2 aircraft. That's it. You imagine the entire might of Indian Air Force. Forget the entire might of Indian Air Force. Just might of Sukhoi 30, if I put. The viewers need to understand 8 tons one Sukhoi 30 carries. One Sukhoi 30 carries 8 tons of mobs. If one Sukhoi 30 can, probably 2 or 3 Sukhoi 30 can completely raise the Lahore-like town to the ground. That is the capability, firepower capability we have. Compare that with any artillery. Artillery launches 25-pounder shells or 50-pounder shells. 50-pounder kahan, 2,000-pounder kahan, and 2,000 pound into as many numbers you put to reach 8 tons you look at, and they are all precision-guided weapons, Akanksha, and multi-spectral. Let me explain multi-spectral to the viewers. We take a dumb bomb, which does not have any kind of directional control. We slap on a kit on top in the front and the rear and make it smart. The rear kit is the one which controls, and the front kit is the one which seeks and gives some kind of stability. What it seeks is what I put, and what I put is what I already have in intelligence. Suppose the intelligence changes in flight, I can change it. If it does some kind of a decoy measure, right, I can switch to a different head.
I want to pad this conversation further, because Group Captain, this is also the information that we are learning, that a missile was used to hit the Noor Khan Air Base. And when you're talking about the missile, are we looking at the ATGMs? Because what we are learning is that the Indian Army has been actively using these anti-tank guided missiles.
No, this Nurkan is way far from for 80 GMs to be used. Nurkan is probably hit by a precision-guided weapon like Spice
Okay.
2000 or Scalp NG or those kind of or Popeye version of a Popeye that we have is the one which we have used. It could even be BrahMos. You never know because BrahMos is an interceptable weapon, and it comes down at 3 times the speed of sound. There is no way, no weapon in the world has the capability to intercept a BrahMos. BrahMos is Brahmastra. There is no two ways about it. It could well have been BrahMos, and we make it in thousand. Not like Pakistan who go with the begging ball, कि मुझे खैरात में
Okay,
मिसाइल
okay.
दे दे. No.
I want to bring in a second guest who's joining us right now, Major General K.K. Sinha. Thank you, sir, for joining in. It does seem like a day of hope for India right now, and this is going to be, we've hit them, and we've hit them really hard. Major General Sinha, if you can see that explosion that's taken place at Noor Khan Air Base, what is your assessment of this explosion?
Good morning and Jai Hind. I think it is a very good note on which I think I just got up after a very late sleep. Very good because 6 air bases and places starting from Sadar, that is Islamabad, up to Nurwal. It is quite deep. These are the heart of Pakistan. We are actually attributed on this. They tried to hit our military installation at Udhampur and Pathankot.
Yes.
It is on, it is actually in response to that. And the response is, I think, it is, in my judgment, more than 100 times what they try to do it. They were trying to hit our areas, thinking that they are just trying to provoke us. What happened on 7th and what happened today? These are something on 7th when it started, 9 places hitting in just 25 minutes, unprecedented in the complete I have seen in the global history of military strike on anywhere. A very precious in 25 minutes. And today, if I have just tried to understand and seen the spread and going exactly pinpoint and also trying to, we have taken the photographs. I think it is a great, it is not a part of escalations, but I think we are just giving it back if they want to climb the ladder and try to escalate from that side. We waited for 2 days. If you see the night of 7th, 8th, and 8th of 9th, I was there throughout monitoring what they did it. It was also very surprising. They have used their drones, which they got it somewhere from, I think, from Turkey.
Yes.
1,400 kilometers starting from, if you say from the Leh, it was on the base of, also of, I think, Siachen Glacier was hit right up to the run of Kutch. So I think it's a very, very befitting reply. And we are just giving it back to them because we told them it is non-escalatory strikes earlier, which we did it on 7th, but they wanted to just increase it, misadventure, trying to probe in our areas with absolutely non-lethal type of drones, but we had casualties. They were using also the artillery fire in the area of Uri, Punch. I think there's a revenge, not as a revenge, but we are taking the escalatory ladder up. Let them try something else. They will, if they force us, we have to do something that, then the complete Pakistan will not only be devastated, but Pakistan will be broken, and balkanization of Pakistan is very, very near. And we can think even that taking POK back, Baltistan back, if they are giving us or forcing us to do that, we will be able to do that.
But Major Sinha, I want to bring you in on that explosion, that massive explosion that's taken place at the Noor Khan Air Base. For that, I will request you to just stay with me. For our viewers, we are going to play it out again. And as Group Captain Vinod has been highlighting that this is no ordinary explosion. It also indicates that there was perhaps a dump of ammunition which has now been completely wiped out, destroyed and left to a rubble by India. Let's quickly listen in and have a look at those visuals.
भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है। ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे, बिल्कुल घर के सामने। अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है। भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है। ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे, बिल्कुल घर के सामने। अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है। भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है। ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे, बिल्कुल घर के सामने। अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है।
So, Major Sinha, two key takeaways from those visuals. First, Pakistan cannot deny this explosion because you have it straight from the horse's mouth. A Pakistani making that video confirming that that strike has taken place. What we are learning from our government sources that a missile was used to strike the Noor Khan air base. And what do you make of that intensity of that explosion?
See, Noor Khan, what I can make it out, because I have seen a certain, similar type of explosion in Kargil during the Kargil war.
Okay.
The day I was on the air, just going to the headquarters, there was a strike in an ammunition dump by Pakistanis into the Kargil ammunition dump. It was just behind the headquarters. It is something like that. I think it is bigger than that, because I can see the flames coming into that area. The flames can be of two types. Either there is a dump which is having your aircraft turbine fuel, or the ammunition dump. Noor Khan Air Base is a very, very important, because basically what they, this strategic area divides the area of POK when we talk it, and then the complete Punjab, if you're down below, because there are 4 corps which are generally located in this area, and namely these corps, when you say Gujranwala, which is somewhere nearby, 1 corps Mangla area, 1 corps. Then Gujranwala is there 30 corps. And when we say Lahore, I believe Lahore Askai air base has been hit. Shekhpura, if you come down, before coming to the Norwal, just Multan, 2 corps. So this is a massive, these are the core locations and core headquarters. Udhampur is our Northern Command headquarters. Pathankot is a brigade. There is I think, Air Force. We have got a strategic location of Air Force also. I think this is something very, very big,
Right.
what we have seen
No,
on
that
7.
undoubtedly is. And you rightly said that this is a direct escalation in the ladder, and not just an escalation, it's a befitting response to how dare they even look at our own military installations in Pathankot, Udhampur and Jammu. And that's why I want to bring in Group Captain Vinod. Group Captain, what does it speak of Pakistan's own defense capabilities? We managed to repel all those missiles that they had sent out to target our own military installations. But what does it speak of their defense capabilities now?
Yeah, so I was just going through my information sent out by some people. Noor Khan houses a squadron called number 6 squadron,
Okay.
which is air-to-air refueler.
Oh.
So it could be an air-to-air refueler, and that is a strategic target. And you have very few of them. We'll have to wait till we get more information,
Yes.
because the way the thing is spread out, have we taken out certain air-to-air refueler on ground? Is something needs to be seen, and it also houses another very sorry, strategic squadron called 12 composite squadron, and a 10 squadron, which is your electronic intelligence squadron.
Oh.
They operate an aeroplane called Phenom 100, and if I'm not mistaken, the Gulfstream 4. So these aeroplanes that we see flying all along the border, gathering intelligence and snooping into Indian territory with cameras and electronic intelligence equipment, are the ones operating out of Nurkan. And like I said, the 10 Squadron, which is MRTT, which is the Tanker Transport Squadron, also called the Bulls. So these squadrons are established in Nurkan. So very, very strategic base. If we have got the air-to-air refueler, I will be extremely, extremely elated, because then the F-16s and other aeroplanes have no extended stay and no extended range. That severely, severely limits them. The counterattack could be in one of our bases in Chandigarh, Agra, or somewhere else.
Okay.
So that we need to be worried about.
And that's
But
exactly what I'm going to be
Nurkan
discussing.
is really big.
Right, right. And
Can I ask one question from Group Captain
sure,
Vinod,
Major
please?
Sinha, sure. In fact, I have
Yes,
to
yes,
quickly
sir.
go across to Ayushman, who's joining me live from the newsroom. But before I do that, Major Sinha, perhaps you can pose your question to Group Captain.
Yeah. Good morning, Vinod.
Good
Vinod,
morning, sir.
very good morning and very good. We are meeting on, of course, on a TV channel when something very spectacular has been done by our brave Indian Air Force. Because I heard, a passerby or someone who's there, he said that some aircraft came. He is saying he can see an aircraft coming in that area. Is it we have sent our aircraft over there, or it is just a BrahMos? We have, tried to stick them with the cruise
That's what,
missile.
just before you joined, sir, I was telling Akanksha, just
Yes.
before you joined, it could be BrahMos, because that is the one which has a jet engine, and rest of them does not have a jet engine. It has a boost phase, and thereafter it only glides down.
And Major
So that is why
Sinha,
you thought-
information that we have received is that this is a missile attack.
Okay.
So MRTT is, I'm putting my money on MRTT, sir. MRTT may have been on ground, the tanker transport aircraft, and
Okay.
I pray and hope MRTT is gone, and that is severe blow on Pakistan.
All right.
Severe blow
So
on
we
Pakistan. It's an
have not
extremely
included
strategic
the airspace of Pakistan. So your judgment is
I
that,
don't know,
we have not crossed the airspace of Pakistan.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I believe
Absolutely not.
Ayushman has some more optimistic updates for us. Let's quickly go back to Ayushman. Ayushman, please go ahead.
Akanksha, we're getting more information. It's not just the Noor Khan Air Base that's been targeted by the Indian forces. The Shorkot Rafiki Air Base is also under attack inside Pakistan. So Indian projectiles are also taking out those capabilities of the Pakistan military. But the Indian government also making it extremely clear when it comes to this counter-offensive that's coming in from the Indian side. Top government sources are telling CNN News 18 that initially the Pahalgam attack was an attack against innocent civilians. But when India launched Operation Sindoor, we didn't attack Pakistani military installations or any civilian areas. Pakistan attempts since yesterday, this is what top government sources are telling CNN News 18, were criminal acts. Since Operation Sindoor, they also attacked Indian civilian areas. Their crime list is very big, and Indian government sources making it very clear, India is making only a custom match attack. If you attack us, we will respond in kind, is the pitch that is coming in from top Indian government sources. They're saying that while initially they were targeting only the terror launch pads, Pakistan has escalated this entire offensive into targeting military bases as well as certain civilian areas attached to those military bases. So India making it extremely clear, if Pakistan moves up the escalation ladder, India will respond in kind. What they are using, and the term that top Indian government sources are using very frequently, is custom match attacks.
Yes. And that actually, is the big differentiation if you were to compare it with the whole analogy of calling it a tit-for-tat one, which is something Group Captain Vinod was also saying. And Group Captain, I want to bring you in on that note, the messaging behind these attacks. Before I get into the significance of the Shorecourt Rafiki Air Base, I want you to shed light on the greater messaging as has been shared by Ayushman. Inputs coming in from our Security Affairs Editor, Mr. Manoj Gupta, who's gone on to bring us this confirmation from government sources who have said that terror dens were attacked by India, but they chose to attack our military installations and our civilians and civilian infrastructure.
Absolutely. In that morning, in fact, I was with Zaka, Rahul and Anand. I was saying the same thing. What is the matching target on Indian side for them to attack to save face? There is none. There is none, Akanksha. We have gone and hit 9 terror targets. मुंह छुपाने के लिए कौन से target पे attack करेंगे वो? And that is where I think Fauj has made a mistake. They should have gone for like last time in the Operation Swift Retort, some forest area and called it a day. And I think that time General probably had a little bit of brain reverted to inside his head. But this time General is not. Because they have gone for a target which I opened completely. In fact, I was with General the other day, completely a new can of worms. Because now I have the upper hand. And it is not like the word we are using, tit for tat attack. It is a matching attack. That means you hit my base, I will hit your base. And what I will hit your base, to what extent I will punish you, is now up to me. And exactly that is what we have done in Noor Khan. And you said we'll come to Rafiki. And Rafiki itself is a beautiful, it's news to me because, Akanksha, while I say this, I have goosebumps. In Pathankot, Rafiki was one of my target, and I know Rafiki like the back of my hand. If you put me blindfolded in Rafiki, I know exactly where is what and how I can maneuver myself.
Go ahead. Shed light on why this has been such a critical target and what is the significance behind targeting the Rafiki Air Base.
See, firstly, Rafiki Air Base itself is the Nas of Pakistan. Because in 1965, there was one squadron leader called Rafiki on whom the airbase is put. And he has been credited with, I don't know why, 5 Indian Air Force aeroplanes downed in some couple of seconds or something like that. So this particular base has been named against, on his name, Rafiki. And it, like he said, he had Hilale Pakistan and Sitare Zurrat. They are 2 very high, it's like Mahavir Chakra and Paramvir Chakra. So these are 2 awards given to him. And on his name is this base. There are 5 fighter squadrons there. And some of the frontline fighter squadrons are there. If we have hit Rafiki, I'm sure we have hit all those assets that are there in the Sikhi, at least a majority of those assets. I'm sure some of those assets are in blast pen, but some of the assets must be out in the open. We may have taken out a major chunk of Pakistani.
I have to quickly go across to Ayushman. Before I do that, Major Sinha, if I could bring you in. Major General, the point that I want to also make is that India is also avenging, as the messaging over there being shared by Group Captain Vinod is also, when he shared the significance behind naming that Rafiki Air Base after a squadron leader who had downed Indian aircraft. What do you make of the larger messaging?
Khansha, your colleague has given the name that, government has, basically released that in the custom match, attack, which we have done it. Custom match attack means last 2 nights, our response was there, which came out officially in the official briefing by the 2 our brave ladies, that we carried out 4 drone attacks and 1, I think their radar was hit. And that was a drone attack. Now, it is not very clear to me whether it is actual crossing the airspace, because, some doubts are coming because of the guy who is just speaking, that he has seen something coming to the Rawalpindi and he has used an aircraft. But our assessment is that we have not crossed their airspace.
All right, but we're getting in breaking inputs right now that Pakistan has confirmed that their 3 air bases have been struck. Let's quickly bring in Ayushman.
Absolutely, Akanksha. So that confirmation also coming in from the Pakistani establishment that India has struck 3 air bases. One was the Noor Khan air base, then the Rafiki air base. Also, what we are learning is that Indian forces have struck the Murid air base inside Pakistan. So I'm sure our defense experts can shed more light on the strategic edge of targeting these particular 3 air bases: Noor Khan air base, Rafiki air base, and the Murid air base. So India also making it very clear, as we reported, and the information brought to us by investigations editor Manoj Gupta, that top government sources have said that this is a custom match attack. If you attack us, we will respond in kind. But clearly, India targeting Pakistan's military assets deep in Pakistani territory, and now a 3rd air base has been targeted by the Indian forces. The first was the Noor Khan air base, then the Rafiki air base, and now what we're learning, the Murid air base has also been targeted by Indian forces.
Group Captain Vinod, Murid Air Base as well, the 3rd one. This is in fact quite a triple treat for India to wake up to in terms of all the latest updates.
I'm extremely happy for all what I wanted to do all my life. Some of my boys did.
Well, you're
So
still part
I'm happy
of
for
it
them.
at this hour.
I know. I wish I was there sitting in the cockpit doing it. And how many times I don't know I dreamt about it. God only knows. Murid is very, very important base, Akanksha. Why? Because Murid houses some of another strategic assets, and we have now chosen, I think, wonderful bases to break the backs. Murid has all these drones that has come from Turkey and the other places. The Bayraktar drones, TB2s as we call them, and they also had a drone which was like 10 years old called Burak. Then they have a number 60 strategic squadron, which is based in Murid. Once again, those are UAVs and UCAVs, that is unmanned combat aerial vehicle. So these are the drones which carry weapons like bombs and rockets and come and hit them.
And
hit
that's
us.
why I'm actually skeptical when the DGISPR is making claims that are, they've confirmed that there have been 3 attacks at these 3 air bases, but our assets are safe. What is one to make of such a comment?
Possibly it is true, because none of these, because they are strategic drones, because of which they may have been parked inside a blast pin individually. Like I was telling you earlier, called URP, unit risk principle, which means one bomb can take out only one target and not take out other targets in the same line. If they are parked together on an open area, one bomb can take out probably 10 targets. But in the unit risk principle, one bomb can take out only one target. What the Pakistani ISP are saying could be true, but what may not be true is that we have not used multiple bombs. Maybe we have used one bomb per drone. So, which means all the drones there are gone. And if all the drones there are strategic drones, there is number 60 strategic squadron, it is called. It has a drone called Shapur, and number 61 strategic squadron, which has a drone called Burak. Burak is a very, very capable drone when it comes to eavesdropping and taking information. So it is like taking out somebody's eyes. So that is the kind of effect
I
it
want to
has.
bring in Major General Sinha also. Major General Sinha, if you could add to that, because 3 air bases, very critical ones. Noor Khan, you are looking at Murid and Rafiki. What is the messaging, especially when it comes to India's own strategic edge and the statement that's now been made by us?
The most important thing is that we are hitting, Punjab. This time the whole concentration is Punjab, and the spread is not only Rawalpindi, Islamabad, down below. We have gone right up to Bhavalpur, now Rafiki and Murid. These areas when you hit, and if they are confirming, DG ISPR is confirming 3 areas, we say, okay, 9 out of 6, which we are saying, even 3 are hit. But he's saying his assets are intact. I think, they will give this type of, but what the visual I can see, it is a massive attack.
Yes.
Massive attack. It is only single BrahMos or a single missile, or is a multiple missile. That has to be seen. And you will see that, when you carry out the damage analysis of that area, these are strategic bombing. It is not a strategic, hitting. It is not a hitting a target which have got tactical. It has a operational and strategic level we have taken the things. See, there are three levels on which the things happen. When they
Okay, we seem to have lost that audio connect with Major General, but let me quickly go back to Ayushman, who's in the newsroom with some more updates coming in. Ayushman, what is it that you're learning in terms of how this entire attack was carried out?
Absolutely, Akanksha. What we're learning is that top government sources are saying that this is simply the second phase of Operation Sindoor, and this is the big piece of information that's coming in, brought to us by our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. Air-to-surface missiles have been used by India for this attack. Air-to-surface missiles, very advanced technology when it comes to missile strikes used by India. The ordinances that are being used by India are extremely advanced. It's an air-to-surface missile that is being used by the forces to target not one, not two, three crucial air bases inside Pakistan. The Murid Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base and the Noor Khan Air Base. Also damage has been reported in Rawalpindi, Lahore, Islamabad, Shekhipura, Sialkot and Narwal as well. And all of these areas are seeing a lot of damage in crucial military centers as well as near some civilian areas as well. The diplomatic enclave inside Islamabad also taking a hit. But air-to-surface missiles being launched by the Indian side, that is the update
All
that's
right,
coming
that's
in.
a big update coming in. I want to quickly bring in Group Captain Vinod. Group Captain Vinod, that's, I think, a massive update and insight that gives us an understanding of how India's resolve stands firm and is also being, in fact, fortified further by the kinds of these air-to-surface missiles. We have the BrahMos, as you were rightly also guessing. Take a moment to sort of weigh in on the other ones like Rudram, the Dhruvastra, the Nirbhay, and also shed light on their importance, how they are used for various ground attacks.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm sure it is one of my squadron who did it, the 7th Squadron Battle Axis. If it is Battle Axis, then there is another beautiful weapon we have called the Crystal Maze. Again, a wonderful weapon. I've trained with it a lot. And I mean, as I say it, I'm extremely whatever. So
I know it's an emotional moment for you.
yeah, it's an extremely emotional moment for me. So, and as I can, as you were talking to General, I was trying to zoom into the image. I can probably see an aeroplane burning. Tell your team to probably freeze it and have a look at it
Okay.
and do your own forensic analysis. Little off the shelf or off the cuff forensic analysis, or back of the envelope forensic analysis that I can see is that it is an aeroplane burning. It could be a C-130 or it could be MRTT. Whatever it is, it's a great asset that is out of Saklala and now called Noor Khan, a place where
Right.
Indian Air Force has a lot of
Right.
history in this base.
You know, compare this moment with the moments that you have witnessed in your years of service. How far have we come? Have we come far at all? Many are talking about how India has progressed in leaps and bounds after 2014. In the last 10 years, we've really fortified our defense. What do you make of this moment?
A very, very long way. Akanksha in Kargil, the longest vector I had when we had was a laser guided bomb called Matra. It had a range, and those days the range used to be huge, 10 kilometers. We used to say 10 kilometer ka range is bomb ka. And you have to come at very high altitude, and it used to glide down to the target, and you had to continuously illuminate it with a laser. Of course, it had its own, technological disadvantages where the aeroplane had to remain within the target, and at that time, risk getting hit by an enemy air defense weapon. Those days
What
are
do you
gone.
credit the rise of, this kind of Indian warfare, the way it has grown, the kind of modern warfare and technology that we are now observing today through these visuals?
Great question, Akanksha. We start the Air Force, not many people know, started with Chanda. बॉम्बे के जो सौकार थे उन्होंने चंदा दिया था, and that is how we started Air Force with 4 aeroplanes called Vapiti.
Wow.
It was a written off aeroplane which we got from UK, and we started Air Force. with 4 aeroplanes. The aeroplane's name was Wapiti, but the nickname was Water Pity. So we started with 4 Water Pity and see where we are today. So this has come about. I would give a lot to polity. I would give a lot to money allocated to get this technology, but this has come about a country because of real, farsight of the leaders of Indian Air Force in the yesteryears, the deputy chief of air staffs, because those are the people who sit down, and mostly deputy chief of air staffs that we have had have test pilots who traveled the world, who knew what technology was available, where it is available, and how to get it. So those are the people I would give credit to. The first of the long range vectors we got were cruise missiles. Then we started developing on our own, and we have such exceptional missiles which can go 600 kilometers,
Right.
which means I can go across Pakistan and hit another country without Pakistan even coming to know of it, and that kind of capability I possess today. Thanks to such great leaders that we had who had that kind of vision, and the benefits of it which we are reaping today without even crossing the line of control or international boundary, we are getting the effect that we desired that otherwise we wouldn't have got by crossing the boundary. So
Absolutely.
it's
Major General Sinha is back, as I can see, sir. Thank you for coming back. And Major General, what do you make of these visuals when we were just discussing, Group Captain Vinod and I, the kind of defense preparedness and our own offensive capabilities also. How far have we come today as far as Indian government's own defense preparedness is concerned, if we were to go by the visuals that we are viewing today?
Hansha, the game changer is from 2016. Even in Air Force is concerned. 2016, I think, we have been fighting. Even I think Vinod, I don't know whether he was there, he was there in service, but I was just
2019.
out from service, and not lot of TV debate on which the Rafale, when the Rafale was government to government contact was there. I think, the whole, even in the media, there was a big divide saying that, we have gone for a wrong thing first, and then saying that it is government to government, there is some hanky-panky. And the many people who are from services, they were talking about. Today is a game changer. Rafale, just see how many squads we have added. And the capability which we have got is unimaginable. The second thing which I want to bring it out, that from in that time onwards, maybe 2012, because I was ADG infantry, looking after the major assets, and also we were going to the government that time, and on file it was written in 2012 that there is no money. No money for anything, even not bulletproof jacket. Today, can you imagine that we have got integrated two-layer air defense system, which 3 years back, even the drones were coming and hitting our Jammu air base, and drones came, we were not able to shoot down. Today, with L-70 air guns, we are shooting them down. You are not even crossing, because I was asking, have we crossed the airspace? Now, Vinod is a very experienced and a very veteran pilot. I know him, and a fighter pilot. He confirms, means I think I get that full validation that we have not crossed. But it is air to surface missile.
Yes.
It means that aircraft had been used. And from our area, it has been actually, then when you go up in the air and launch, it is give you a very high precision, strike capability. And hitting, if it's true, even the DGISPR is saying that, the Rawalpindi, Noor Khan Air Base, the Rafiki and Murid, if they had been hit, I think even 3 has been hit. Lahore Air Base means I do not know whether it is a Lahore Air Base or they are talking about Sargodha, because it is just behind, and east of Lahore is Sargodha. Sargodha was the major target, where it was Air Force, Indian Air, Mighty Air Force has a, free for all at Sargodha.
Okay.
And that is the history. When you say Sargodha, there is a movie on this, Sargodha Airfield strike.
All right.
So I think the history is being repeated.
Major General, stay with me. I'm also joined in by Major Manik M. Jolly, who's a defense expert. Major Manik, your thoughts, first of all, on this strategic victory that India has had with the destruction of these 3 air bases.
Excellent. I mean, why is everybody so serious? We should be very happy. This is a successful hit.
I was clapping.
Right? Yeah.
I was clapping just before you came.
I was vocal up
doing
with
this.
I was vocal up with the great news. So good that we see the whole since yesterday, past few hours, since yesterday, as the evening progressed, these guys have been sending swarm drones continuously towards us.
Right.
Whether they are probing, whether they want to hit, whether they carry explosives, the air defense has been actively, dropping them off. We had a complete wall around the borders, and they were maybe when you send a swarm, find 1% on something and get in. But we did a fantastic job. But what I heard that there was some intercept near Sirsa, which turned out to be serious. And obviously, we know as much as we also hear on media. Do not have any insider information. But going by you, even if that there was an intercept, or even this was swarm happening, and these guys were just not stopping it, I think a major message was required to be sent. And this is that kind of message which says we will not get down to your petty level of sending swarms and this and that. We will hit once, we will hit hard. So just keep imagining this, that you take one step, "100 sunar ki ek luhar ki," the way that we see in Hindi. So this will be the answer from our side.
Oh,
and taking out,
and Major Manik, a moment to also reflect on the statement that's come in from the government sources to CNN News 18, who've said that this is going to be a custom match attack. It has been a custom match attack.
Exactly. And yesterday late night on CNN only, I was saying, somebody was asking about what do you see this going on. I said, what is going on is India is standing as a tall, powerful chap, You even try and scratch me, I'll give you a punch on your nose that you'll keep bleeding for 3 days. And you keep again do that, we'll again do that. The mere quantum of how we are going to reply, that is the message we want to send. That you send one drone, we will take out your 3 air bases. That should ask them to calm down a little and start reflecting on what India wants from them, how they need to now behave. So it's a fantastic thing that has happened today.
Group Captain Vinod, if I could bring you in on, all our viewers who may perhaps gain a lot, if you could shed light on perhaps the significance of the air-to-surface missile that has been used. We don't know exactly which one has been used. You did place your bets on BrahMos, but it could be Rudram, it could be Nirbhay. What is it that your hunch tells you? But of course, what a major milestone this has been for India as far as our own defense capabilities and offensive capabilities are concerned.
It could even be a weapon called Crystal Maze, made by a country to which Pakistani cannot go because the Pakistani passport says to all countries except Israel. So it could even be Crystal Maze. And I am placing my bets actually on Crystal Maze and my squadron, which is 7th Squadron Battle Axis, who has done this. And if it is so, which we will come to know many weeks down the road, I'm extremely proud of the boys. And like I was saying, Kanksha, I think it is the MRTT that is gone. The more and more I'm looking at the visuals, and more and more I'm doing some kind of a, armchair forensics, which is, I don't know whether it is right to do or not. But the fact is, something of importance, either a C-130 or a MRTT, that is a refueler aircraft, is gone in the visuals that we are seeing, which is of Chaklala. In 2012 or 13 or something, they changed it to the base called Noor Khan. Noor Khan was there, I think, the second or first or second air chief. उनके नाम से ही रखा. So that time I was still in service, and answering the general's question, very, very thankful to God. S-400 started as under my signature, one of the signatories when I was the director for air defense, and so is Rafale. So very, very thankful. Last day of my life in the Air Force, I was briefing very Rajnath ji on Balakot, because we were one of the architects of Balakot. So extremely, extremely thankful that, like all of us have lived a life which is worth living all over again and
No, I
again and
totally
again.
understand your emotions today, and I join you in that moment of pride as a very proud Indian today. But Major General Sinha, if I could bring you in on the major defense acquisitions that India has made in the last decade. We've also had to pass several international hurdles. One that we've already seen with the procurement of S-400, where the United States threatened us with its own set of CATSA sanctions, which we were able to receive a waiver on. But not just that, you actually have several other acquisitions. If one were to look at, you also have the Rafale, and you're also looking at several UAVs. But if you were to specifically look at the surface-to-air or the air-to-surface missiles?
See, we have to understand one thing, that whatever the strategic capability we have gained, I think, a lot of contribution is from Russia side, S-400, when the Russia is itself going for a war with Ukraine, even just before that, Putin came and he signed in hurry and just left. And, out of 5 units, he has given 3, which we have got, and it is doing a wonderful job. Second thing that, in spite of the pressure, that time, even Donald Trump was there, he was threatening. We conceded one thing because he told that time, because Chabahar was coming and he was saying that the Iranian oil you will not take. We agreed. But we have not conceded the point as far our weaponry is concerned, especially S-400. Binod says he was also the signatory of that. I know a gentleman who was the DG, because I was also ADG infantry. He was a DG, air defense regiments of part of our army. He has a great contribution, greatest contribution, because the integration of air defense system with matching, it is Barak 8 has come. Can you imagine
Barak 8? Barak 8, yes.
Barak 8 has come. IGLA has just before this thing we have started all this, what we are doing it. IGLA, a new generation has come from Russia when they are fighting. See the supply. I will not name it because it will not be ethical to say what we are getting from Israel, but we are getting a lot of things from Israel even now. Americans are giving.
Yes, and that's why this point becomes very critical at a time when Donald Trump is very keen on increasing our defense procurement, especially when it comes to New Delhi looking towards Washington. But what does it speak in the current scenario where we've seen how the Russian make, the French make, or even say the Israeli makes are also being equally good?
Yeah, the French one, which I say, basically the Rafale part of it, was actually, it is totally conceived, done government to government from 2016. And then, the way it has come, we have seen the flying of Rafale in India and then getting operationalized, when there was a face-off. Galwan, that was the northern border, we had a face-off with Chinese. When it landed in India, and record time, it takes a lot of time to actually, when you put an operationalization part and integrate with your own system. It is not a joke in war-like conditions, because what was happening in the northern borders that time, Rafale getting integrated. And now when the Rafale is attributing everything in our Western Front, especially in these areas you have been naming, I'm amazed. I'm amazed because we all understand, because all 3 of our people are sitting, it is not done in a record time like this. It is not possible. And then integrating, if he's saying that BrahMos has been, so if air-to-surface missile, is it BrahMos from the air platform has been launched, Binod?
Possible, sir, from a Su-30 or a critical maze from Mirage 2000.
All right.
Okay.
We are awaiting confirmation on that bit. And I
No,
can
I'm
see.
just guessing.
Okay, I can see Stephen Golub, and who is an international affairs expert, has also joined in. Good to see you, Stephen. But I'm going to come to you in just a bit. We're getting in some very critical breaking inputs. Let me quickly bring our viewers up to speed as we are learning that, in fact, intelligence sources have told CNN News 18 that Pakistan fired 6 ballistic missiles at Punjab, at the state of Punjab. 6 ballistic missiles were fired by Pakistan. All have been intercepted by Indian forces as India continues to expose Pakistan's propaganda offensive against India, because the DGISPR has claimed that India fired 6 ballistic missiles on its own Indian cities in the Indian state of Punjab to target the Sikh community. So if you can see the kind of rabble-rousing that they are trying to do, also trying to stoke communal tensions within the country, that's already started. Top government sources also saying that Pakistan is stooping to a new law to create communal divisions in India. I take that with Ayushman. Ayushman.
Akanksha, so it seems that the misinformation campaign also continues from the Pakistan side as India is hitting back at Pakistan. Remember, attacks have been launched on 6 big Pakistani cities, including 3 crucial air bases. And this is the pitch that's coming in from the DGISPR. As Pakistan launched 6 missiles to target Punjab, all 6 were intercepted by India's advanced air defense system. So to spin the entire narrative, the DGISPR has said that it was India that launched those missiles on its own people to target the Sikh community, trying to create these communal divisions between the people of India, trying to spin its own failed military offensive into some PR victory is the pitch that's coming in from the Pakistani establishment. But what the Pakistani establishment does not realize that the entire nation is united in this effort to punish the terrorists and the terror infrastructure inside Pakistan. So any kind of attempt that is being made to stoke communal tensions inside India, it is completely failing. This is not the first time the DGISPR is trying to make such claims. Every attack that has come in from Pakistan has been foiled by the air defense system. So Pakistan has been on this overdrive of misinformation, claiming that India is targeting its own. But all those claims have been debunked by experts across the board, by namely the Indian government, which has made it extremely clear the people of India are united in this offensive against Pakistan and the terror infrastructure.
If I could bring in Stephen on that note. Stephen, I want you to weigh in. Is it befitting of the DGISPR of Pakistan to mislead the entire international community by saying that those 6 ballistic missiles that actually came from their territory were fired by us at our own state of Punjab to target the Sikh community?
Well, I think there's probably all sorts of information flowing in various forms with various degrees of accuracy can pertain to this conflict. But to directly answer your question, yes, I would certainly find that misleading to assert that India fired upon its own people. And I think it won't stand up in terms of any legitimate scrutiny from abroad, from outside the sphere of this conflict, about what's going on in this conflict.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to bring in Major Manik. Major Manik, our own defense capabilities. We were just weighing in on our procurements and how far we've come. On a day, we've destroyed their 3 air bases and successfully managed to repel 6 ballistic missiles directed towards Punjab.
I couldn't hear the last part of it. Can you please repeat that?
Major Manik, my question is about when we are talking about our own defense capabilities. After destroying those 3 air bases, we are now looking at 6 ballistic missiles directed towards Punjab, which have been successfully repelled.
Oh, yeah. So the funny part of that is that Pakistan is, making claims that we fired 6 missiles on our own citizens, and 5 of them actually landed. 1 was destroyed. Whatever lies they are saying. So the thing is, they are trying to cover up the solid wall of Indian air defense that we have. They fired 6 missiles towards India, Punjab. We brought them all down. For them to save the embarrassment of how bad they are at waging missile warfare, they're trying to cover this up. So the defense capability that we're talking about is actually, so since these were missiles, it is a pretty good chance that we could have used the S-400 series.
Yes.
And hence, it goes back to the fact how critical they have proved in our air defense infrastructure, and that, you know, the country is safe today, civilians are safe, military installations are safe. So it has been a great boost to our air defense. And I would say now the case which, you know, John Sinha would have been part of it all that during that time, and so many of our seniors who actually fought and argued that we need these systems, and that it has come to fruition that yes, we were right. That because the fact is that let the armed forces decide, take a call on what we need to wage a war effectively. If you're going to weigh every weapon in terms of what you think is good for us, it is going to cause problems. So every call that has been taken in terms of weaponry or radars or aircrafts, those are Rafales or S-400 series or Barracks missile or the drones we've got, every single anti-aircraft system has proved its weight in gold today. So I think we've done a fantastic job on those procurements.
Group Captain Vinod, is Operation Sindoor now a reflection of how far our offensive and defensive capabilities have come, not just in terms of tech, but in terms of the procurements also that we've made?
Absolutely, Akanksha, because 24th of October last year, I remember that date very clearly because I just tweeted about it as well to one of the journalists, and later sometimes to Anand. I have talked about ad nauseum the importance of air defense. I said, if you don't have a credible air defense, might as well hand over your country to the enemy on a platter. Because air defense is such an umbrella which will keep you, not getting wet from any kind of rain, sun or sand. So that is the kind of capability air defense has, and it is a very, very and an extremely important aspect of a country. If country can today stay together, like General mentioned, not end up in balkanization, which it looks like Pakistan is heading that way, is because of not having a good air defense. So, I mean, as much I can emphasize about air defense is less. That's one. Second, and which is also the most important aspect, is something called mass mixed mobility and connectivity. Mass is you need to have en mass air defense. Mix, you need to have long, medium, and short and close-in weapon system, all of which is beautiful in our case because the close-in weapon system is also acting as a counter UAC, UAS thing. That means any small drones coming, paw kilo ke drone aa rahe, even those are being taken out by these ACAC guns and other phalanx guns we have integrated into this larger scheme of air defense. And the last part is the backbone on which the air defense information flow is happening, which has taken, I'll tell the viewers, which took us 10 years to put it. This backbone is completely our own, as in it does not depend on any national backbone. It is the purely a Fauji backbone on which the information flow takes place. And it is not one, it is not two, it is not three, it is six. So you absolutely cannot touch it. It is impregnable, mathematically impregnable. You can take out one, you can take out probably two, you can take out probably three. Actually, out of the six, only one is enough. So that is the kind of backbone on which our air defense and rest of the systems are sitting. If you think you can, a country like Pakistan come anywhere close to the capability of India, they are absolutely sadly and very badly mistaken. And to top of that, Kanksha, is that we are friends with many friends, like you said some time ago, friends with benefits. And so we are friends with French, we are friends with Israel, we are friends with America, we are friends with Russia.
That's exactly the point I was about to take forward with Stephen. Thank you for talking about friendships, because Stephen, today we see while India's own indigenous capabilities have really come a long way in the last decade, thanks to DRDO, but take a moment to reflect on our defense partnerships, whether it is with the United States, even Russia and Israel, and France have all helped and jumped to India's rescue as well.
Yeah, I think they've all helped. I would provide just a bit of caution to the discussion when we talk about India's relationship with the U.S., be it military, strategic, political, or other, in that while India is certainly viewed as an ally of the U.S. government, particularly when it comes to the contest with China or the competition with China that both countries have, just bear in mind that you're not dealing with the most knowledgeable leader ever of the US government in Donald Trump. Just a few days ago, he said that the India-Pakistan border tensions go back 1,500 years.
No, that's
And
true.
you folks obviously know much more about your country's history than I do, but I think that reflects a level of ignorance that could come through in various ways, not in the very short term, perhaps, but in various ways in terms of India's dealings with the U.S. So just know who you're dealing with under this current administration, even though there is an alliance there.
No, I think that's a critical point, which is why I think, India has made it amply clear that this is going to be our fight. And when it comes to Kashmir, they're not going to be welcoming any third-party mediation. India has made it amply clear. But I want to actually bring in, Group Captain Vinod, if I could bring you in on that point. As far as third-party mediation is concerned, I think the United States also acknowledges that this is our own conflict to deal with, which is what was amply clear by what the US Vice President J.D. Vance had to say.
Absolutely. In fact, Dr. Jaishankar couldn't have been more clear than I. He said we want partners, not preachers. So we don't need preachers, we need partners. And today we have the capability to say that on the world front, to say, bro, don't come and preach me, come and partner with me, understand my problem, be the part of the solution. My problem is what? My problem is when my people go on to have a ball in a wonderful place, you come and, identify their religious leaning and kill them. And you think the current administration will take it lying down? Please, I think those days are gone. If you do this, and this is what you're going to get. And if you continue to do this, you will be dismembered. Absolutely, rest assured on that. But like General said, balkanization could be a probability. I want to take it to a step further and say,
Sure.
I hope it happens.
Major General Sinha
quickly.
is also very patiently awaiting his turn. Major General Sinha, thank you for being so patient. I want to bring you in on how, when it comes to the Kashmir conflict and terrorism emanating from Pakistani soil, India will hit, and it will hit hard, and this is only going to be India's job. Has India made that amply clear?
See, Akansha, what we have displayed, especially after, I will not take what we have done it on 16/2016, what we did in 19, but I just take it from 22nd of April onwards, if I take. See, we waited 2 days, then we had the CCS meeting and openly came out and we have given. It is very important for my foreign friend to understand that, what we have told, and unprecedented, nowhere in the world has happened. These, suspending the Indus Water Treaty. And mind you, all these places which we are talking about is along that, river system, all along that river system. All those places are being hit. See, it is not, no one has able to do it. No one. Even no one has threatened. And we have done it. It started on 24th onwards. And today we are here on 10th, I think, May. No one, no power. Even they have pointed a finger and we are doing it. We have stopped Chinab. We are doing Jhelum. I'm just saying, because you asked certain question and we have got a foreign guest sitting with us.
Yes.
Because, see, and we didn't get any preaching. When you are talking about the United States of America, I'm not batting for them. But we didn't. J.D. Van was here when it happened.
Yes.
And therefore, yesterday, J.D. Van has very clearly, has brought it out that it is, we have nothing to do with this thing.
And that's what makes it so ironical. That's what makes it so ironical, that the day it happened, he was very much in the country and he was being warmly hosted and welcomed and toured around. And that's why I was particularly taken aback by that statement.
Yeah, Akansha, second thing is that, we are displaying to, especially when we call third world used to be, now we say, global south, the strategic autonomy which we have taken, and it is just not because we are just making or preaching someone, we are practicing it. with the strategic partnershiping with everyone, even the adversaries who are, you know, with the crossroad. We have got strategic partnership. Russia,
Okay.
proven partnership.
Okay.
United States of America, in spite of that Chabahar, because they had some concern into Chabahar, you know, they wanted that India should leave it. India has done, you know, finally we have got about 99 years commitment over there. And I think it is coming into that way with Iran.
Sure.
We are able to do it. So basically what we are, you know, exhibiting, and thank God, yeah, I say that 22nd April is a bad day for Indian history, but the resolve thereafter, and 9 May onwards, if you see what we are doing it without speaking. Have you seen anyone of our, you know, NSA or Prime Minister or Foreign Minister making and thumping the chest that we have done it this, we have done that?
Yes.
We
I
are
think you're
calmly sitting in the glare of the complete world, carrying out a review and integrating. See, the CDS system, if you see, which started in 2016 again, when the Rafale came, with all theater command in operational conditions, the warlike conditions, we are doing it. All meetings, there is a CDS. It was announced in 2016.
Ms.
We are
General
able
Sinha,
to
I'm
do
going
it.
to request you to continue staying with me right now. In fact, I must, for all our viewers who are tuning in, it's roughly 4:30 a.m. Indians are going to be waking up to this very brave news, and a salute to the Indian Armed Forces as we've successfully destroyed and targeted 3 air bases in Pakistan, and as Indian government sources are telling CNN News 18 that this is a custom-made response by Indian Armed Forces. I'm going to continue with that discussion, but before I take this forward with Stephen as well, Stephen, take a moment, have a look at these visuals that have come in from Noor Khan Air Base in Pakistan, which was targeted by India, and that massive explosion that took place, which also indicates that it was an ammunition dump over there that was targeted by our air-to-surface missile. Let's play that out.
भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है। ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे, बिल्कुल घर के सामने। अभी एक जहाज गुजरा है और ये नूर खान बेस के ऊपर अटैक हुआ है। भाईजान नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है। ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे।
Okay, 2 points. Keep in mind, Stephen, it's a Pakistani video made by a Pakistani. So clearly the DGISPR cannot deny that that explosion didn't take place on Pakistani soil, because we have been observing consistently that there's a disinformation campaign being run by the country. But having said that, I want you to also reflect upon what makes this entire conflict and the fight so unique, especially if we were to compare it with Gaza or Ukraine. India doesn't need the kind of support that Ukraine has been begging for from its NATO allies or even the United States. Gaza, as many have said, has only relied for support from its Islamic allies, who also have perhaps not been able to do much.
Well, frankly, what makes it unique is that India and Pakistan are nuclear powers. And there's, I think, a great concern in many quarters about this escalating in ways that could prove catastrophic if nuclear weapons are used. I'm not predicting that's going to happen. I'm certainly hoping fervently against it and even betting against it. But when you have this kind of intensifying conflict going on, it raises concerns in many, many quarters, in many, many capitals, regardless of who's right or wrong here. I'm not criticizing India's stance towards Pakistan here, but I am emphasizing that what makes this unique is that you have two nuclear-armed nations going at it in a way that seems to be escalating.
That's a very fair concern. But I want to ask you this, that today India has been brought to a point where dialogue and diplomacy is done. India's foreign ministry has made it amply clear that escalation can't be pinned on India, because escalation happened on 22nd of April when that massacre in the meadows of Pahalgam took place. We are done with dialogue and diplomacy. We've seen how this is one of the oldest conflicts after the Second World War, and Kashmir happens to be the the territory which has been illegally occupied by a rival nation, that's Pakistan. The UN also couldn't come up with a solution. How does one then address the problem of terrorism? Stephen.
Well, you address the problem by trying to provide all sorts of disincentives, which is obviously India's aim here. I will beg to differ in the notion that dialogue and diplomacy are permanently done. If they are done, then we're in really a hopeless situation. Sooner or later, India and Pakistan are going to have to get back to talking with each other. Even if the talk is harsh and even if the disagreements are run really deep, the alternative to dialogue and diplomacy is ongoing, escalating war. And I don't know whether you can simply count, even if Pakistan backs down, which I guess is the hope in your quarters and many parts of the world, they'll need some kind of a fig leaf that could be offered by dialogue and diplomacy. So I really, as I said, want to push back against the notion that those avenues are done, because the alternative to their being done is very dangerous.
And that's a food for thought as well. Group Captain Vinod, have we reached a point of no return? And as many would say that now, if India has entered this conflict and has resolved to destroy those terror camps, then is it time to go full throttle?
Absolutely not. In fact, at every point in time, and just want to disagree with Stephen. Stephen, at every point in time, we gave an exit. We are calling it the off-ramp. At every single operation, including this one, we have the capability to do Noor Khan into 10 on all the bases, air bases, as well as the military bases in one wave. That kind of capability we have possessed today. We did not do it. We don't, a broken up or a balkanized Pakistan or with refugee crisis at our back door is not something any country would want. We absolutely do not want that, and that is why our talks have been, our speeches have been measured. Quick point about how mathematically incorrect these generals are. How can I fire a ballistic missile? Is called a ballistic because it takes a ballistic path. That is why it is called a ballistic missile. How can I fire a ballistic missile which will take a ballistic path and come and drop on my own head? It is mathematically impossible, isn't it? And how can I do that? They should use some kind of brain, isn't it? For a 1,000-kilometer range missile, the minimum range at which you can hit a target is something like 300 kilometers. Well, anyway, that is.
But Stephen, if I were to bring you in on that diplomacy bit, Stephen, I know it's not going to be about settling scores and it can't be brought down to doing the maths, but what is your assessment when India actually embarked on this entire Operation Sindoor? Because India went for the kill as far as 9 terror camps are concerned. Those 9 targets were not military installations. They were not civilian targets. They were 9 terror camps. Pakistan could have just left it at that.
So I'm sorry, what's the question?
So the question here is, what is Pakistan doing by retaliating now? If it is not concerned with terror camps that are, very much bred on their soil, but if it's not concerned with those terror camps, then there's perhaps no need to retaliate.
Oh, well, look, I'm not sitting in Islamabad or reading any of its political, or more importantly here, military leaders' minds, because the military in Pakistan are the people who are calling the shots with respect to many things in the country, certainly including this conflict. But I think what I'll speculate about is what's going through those military and political leaders' minds is a degree of saving face, which actually probably influences a lot of conflicts, that they felt they'd lose so much face in the face of India's attack, which again, I realize is in response to a horrible terrorist attack, killing many innocent people in Kashmir. The Pakistani leadership I believe feels that it needed to respond for the sake of maintaining its own credibility in the country, its own leadership, maybe it's even its own hold on power, because if it didn't respond in some way, it might be weakened in those regards. Having said that, don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Pakistan for what it's done at all. And I'm not saying that the
No,
way it
absolutely not.
responded was
We
necessarily
completely.
legitimate or the best way. But you asked me, what might they be thinking? I think they're thinking about their own survival, their own credibility, their own strength within their own country. And that's what these counterattacks might be about.
Major Manik, I'm going to give you a quick 1 minute. I know, because we have some breaking inputs coming in, but do you think this is just a face-saving attempt by Pakistan, or is this also retaliation to defend the terror camps that they have been harboring so far?
This is retaliation, definitely. Where do they land actually? They don't want to, they always want to maintain that thing that we don't breed terror, we don't support terrorists. But the funeral, do you remember the funeral that happened for these terror leaders? The entire military brass was present there. Their coffins were placed in national flag. They were given hero send-off, which was an acknowledgement of that these people, the terrorist leaders and their families, are not thought of as terrorism or families. They are thought of as national leader, part of their administration, which are due state funerals. So they have to prove it to these tanzeems, these terrorist organizations, their people, that we are aligned with them, even whatever they can keep saying in front of at global platforms, irrespective.
All right.
So this was retaliation, and yes, they are getting back at that with.
All right, I have some breaking inputs coming in. What we are learning is that Pakistan's airspace has been closed to all types of air traffic. Airspace will remain shut until 12 noon today. This is the big breaking input that we are bringing to you. Clearly goes on to indicate, Ayushman, that this is a very tense situation over there across the LOC. Ayushman, can you hear me?
Yeah, Akanksha, I can hear you. So basically, the development that's coming in from Pakistan is that in the wake of India's counter-strike, where we have crippled 3 crucial air bases, now Pakistan has closed its airspace to all kinds of air traffic. Airspace will remain closed until 12 noon today is the information that's coming in from the Pakistan Airports Authority, which has now closed the airspace. But remember, Akanksha, also when Pakistan launched its first counter-strike, commercial airliners were still running above the skies in Pakistan. They were clearly using those air carriers as civilian shields, and that entire point was exposed by the Indian government. Vikram Misri also pointed it out, and the entire Indian establishment highlighted the fact how Pakistan was using civilian carriers as shields to launch that counter-strike against India, to punish India for Operation Sindoor 1.0. And clearly in this case, feeling the heat, feeling the public pressure, now Pakistan has resorted to close its airspace for all kinds of air traffic as it tries to secure and tries to take stock of the damage caused by India's counter-strike.
All right, Group Captain Vinod, what do you make of this decision that's been taken? Is that a direct indication of the kind of damage that's been inflicted upon the 3 air bases?
Or could be, Akanksha, pressure from international civil aviation.
All right.
Which is quite a bit high. I mean, it does happen in IQ. Maybe IQ has weighed down on Pakistan to shut the airspace down, because in the hot war condition, if anything like, friendly fire happens either by Pakistan or us, then it will be a catastrophe. It could be an IQ. I don't know.
All right. If I could bring in Major General Sinha. Major General Sinha, what is your assessment of the thought that's gone behind shutting the airspace? Clearly, Pakistan is on tenterhooks.
Yeah, and I think, we have able to expose the Pakistanis hypocritic, the step they have taken. If you remember the briefing at 5:30 by 2 brave ladies, then she brought it out and she has shown the live streaming of the air traffic that time when the things were coming right from Karachi, going right up to Lahore. And that was, these things are also seen by the complete world. The idea is that time it exposed that, they are trying in the shield of this air traffic, they are doing something, because the strikes were coming that time. All these drones which were sent to India, and they had the air traffic on. Now they two possibility. One thing is that, first thing they want to hide. First thing they want to hide it from the public glare. After the 7th strike, the May strike, which was in the public glare, everyone has seen. Now only one eyewitness has been giving the live stream of Noor Khan Air Base, which we can see. But as far as Rafiki is concerned and Murid, we haven't got any live feed. I have not seen because it's not coming in our channel. The point is, Pakistan doesn't know how to, because it is so novice. Can you say, what Binod was bringing it out, that anyone who's in sense can say that you have fired your own missile in your own area. How you will do it, I do not know. So this is what the standard of Pakistan military. And if you allow me, then I will just try to just quickly just bring out something for Stephanie, because
I have a map to go to, but I'm going to give you that time, sir. Go ahead.
It's very important. Foreign guest is there, never, because it sees the mindset of what exactly the West is still trying to do it. See, Stephen, what you have brought it out, basically you have said that two nuclear armed countries, they're in conflict if you don't talk. We have never stopped talking to them diplomatically. 2016, when we have taken the strategy that terror and talk will not go. Do you say that the Pakistan says okay, terror is stopped, and you have hit 9 places, all this terrorism, which they are making the statement. Why can't they we'll start talking to them? This is our pretext that terrorism and talk will not go together.
True.
So I have not seen any Western power is telling the Pakistan to give up the terrorism and just start talking. We have got a single terms of reference. Stop terror. We are ready to talk. We are ready to do all business with you. Even after that, our borders were open. Atari border, people were coming. How many Pakistanis were they getting visa? They were getting the treatment here. We never stopped. This is the first time it has happened. So it is very good to lecture, a country who are in a very, very, absolutely in operational condition. And second thing is, in the garb of nuclear bogey, if same thing the West is doing it, Russia has got nuclear. In this 35 NATO collision have got the nuclear. 100 of these gravity bombs are deployed all in Europe. That is not a nuclear standoff between the two.
Right.
And then you say that, that's because Pakistan keeps threatening. India has not officially used a single N nuclear in their own statement or anything which we are carrying out operationally in the ground.
Fair enough. I'm going to, in fact, bring Stephen in on that note as well. But I'm going to request you people to, in fact, pause on to those thoughts. Many thanks to you, Major General Sinha, for joining in. Thoroughly appreciate your insights. In fact, we're getting in some breaking inputs right now. Top government sources are telling CNN News 18 that Pakistan has lost major air assets. According to available information, after the attack, they could not even start their machines. That is the big breaking input that we are bringing to you. Remember, contrary to the claims that are being made by the DG ISPR, who's gone on to say that yes, 3 attacks at 3 air bases did take place, but there was not enough damage on any of their assets and that they remain safe. Government sources now coming up with that clarification to CNN News 18 that that's a lie which is being peddled. Ayushman sheds more light. Ayushman.
Absolutely. Pakistan has lost those major air assets. 3 crucial air bases have been decimated in this counter-strike coming in from India. And not just these 3 air bases, several key cities also facing the heat as India launches this counter-strike. Air-to-surface missiles, Akanksha, have been deployed by the Indian forces to punish Pakistan for its drone strikes which took place hours before India launched those air-to-surface missiles. We saw that how the entire border got lit up by Pakistan when it launched those drone strikes. But everything was intercepted by India's superior air defense system, our S-400s, our Akash systems. But India used its own air-to-surface arsenal and assets and has wreaked havoc inside Pakistan. 3 major air bases have now been neutralized by Pakistan, by the Indian forces in Pakistan, and top government sources indicating that their air assets have been severely compromised. Let's get you an overview of where all India has struck, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to this counter-offensive, which many people are calling Operation Sindhu 2.0. Islamabad, the Noor Khan Air Base, one of the key air bases in the military headquarters of Pakistan, that is Rawalpindi. Then is the Murid Air Base in Chakwal, right next to Rawalpindi, another key air asset that Pakistan controls. These right next to the border with India, crucial for Pakistan's air operations when it comes to taking on India. Then Shekhupura also targeted in these strikes, these air-to-surface missiles that India has been able to launch on Pakistan. Then is the Rafiki Air Base in Shorkot that has also been neutralized by this attack coming in from India using air-to-surface missiles. India wreaking havoc on Pakistan, taking revenge for what it did earlier today when it came to lighting up the border and taking on all those different cities along the border. Each and every missile that was launched by Pakistan, each and every drone was neutralized by air defense system. But this is what Pakistan has to reap when it comes to what it sowed earlier today. Islamabad, the Noor Khan Air Base, the Murid Air Base, Shekhupura, Rafiki Air Base, neutralized pretty much when it comes to the air assets that they control, and significant damage to Islamabad, to Rawalpindi, as well as Lahore, as well as Narwal, crucial areas near the line of control and the international border, because a lot of firing is taking place from the Indian side, and we've been able to dismantle several Pakistani posts over here. So the commercial capital of Pakistan, the military capital of Pakistan, the political capital of Pakistan, feeling the heat of India's counterstrike. Akanksha.
That's a very significant, I think that's a very significant point that you've made. Ayushman, if I may just request my team to go back to that map. Team, if you could please switch back to that map. I want to keep the focus on that map as far as those locations that have been targeted by India are concerned. As Ayushman was rightly highlighting, Stephen, take a moment to reflect on all of these locations. As Ayushman highlighted, you're looking at the commercial capital, you're also looking at some very critical military installations, the air bases, you're looking at the national capital, which is Islamabad. What do you make of these attacks that have taken place in the interim of 9th to 10th May?
They strike me as major attacks. They may well have been effective in decimating significant parts of Pakistan's Air Force and maybe other forces. Just to return to an earlier aspect of the discussion, I don't mean to lecture, and I'm just stating my opinion here.
Right, sure.
But it's, as I've said, one way or another, directly or indirectly, formally or informally, unless this thing were to keep escalating forever, there will need to be some discussions. Now, I suppose there's an outside chance Pakistan will simply throw up its hands without saying anything to India, give up without saying anything to India or the world, tell its people that somehow it accomplished its goals in this back and forth by overstating vastly what it accomplished through its own military actions. There's a possibility that that's the route it will go, but there are many, many other scenarios in which the two governments, one way or another, will need to talk to each other, even if it's just a matter of Pakistan trying to save face by saying it negotiated or reached some kind of a halt to these hostilities with India. And the alternative is, as I've said, very, very dangerous. It's not just a matter of two governments deciding we may go nuclear. All sorts of things can go wrong when nuclear powers are at odds. Just to pick an example from my own country's history, if not for the wisdom of a Russian colonel years ago, when mistakenly the radar in the Soviet air system indicated falsely a nuclear attack on the way from the US. If that colonel hadn't shown the common sense of saying, no, there's something going wrong with our system here, I'm not going to declare this a nuclear attack, If not for his wisdom, the US and the Soviet Union can decimate each other. So things can go wrong even if neither government wants to escalate. When things are very, very tense, they can go wrong due to a miscalculation by a lower level officer, due to misreadings of radar or other technical information. And that's why it's important to keep avenues of communication open, even if they're not being used right now.
Okay. I'm going to now bring in Glenn Carl, who is a former CIA officer, joining me live on the broadcast. Glenn, very good to have you here on CNN News 18 today. We speak on a morning which is very optimistic for all Indians. There's a sense of pride for our Indian armed forces. A major victory at hand as India has struck back and struck hard at 3 air bases of Pakistan. If you can see my screen, all of those locations, one of them also being at the national capital of Pakistan. What do you make of all of these strikes that have taken place?
Well, as everyone knows, or is watching, this is the worst or most serious clash in decades. I think the reasons probably are the changed nature of the Pakistani government and officer corps, but also the changed nature of the leadership in India. India being more nationalist than in the past, and Pakistan being more Islamist. So that is alarming, and the pride that one can rightly feel in one's armed forces doesn't diminish the danger that I think is greater now than at any time for 25 years or more.
Right, but when we are saying that, India has reached a point where terrorism from Pakistan, and when we are talking about terrorism emanating from Pak soil, you're looking at not just those camps, you're looking at funding, you're looking at training. India has perhaps also had enough, and that is the messaging behind those attacks. I'd like your thoughts.
Well, one certainly would understand the sentiment of and wanting to put an end to the endless suffering that the terrorism causes and destabilization. But India is in a dilemma that any state faces confronting a terrorist threat, and in particular has a greater problem in that its neighbor is a dysfunctional government and society. So a conventional military response, whether it's from India or the United States, against a terrorist threat really never solves the problem. And were the war to become even worse and India to be victorious, as I imagine would be the case, that would probably invite greater problems yet, because certainly India doesn't want a state collapsed on its border rather than a troublesome one. So it's a terrible dilemma. What a state is to do about terrorism. The only solution is unsatisfying because it takes many years and should happen out of sight by intelligence services countering and trying to disrupt and break up terrorist cells and organizations, and a longer term, much larger effort to somehow change the conditions that lead to the terrorism.
Okay.
And no state has succeeded in doing that.
Okay, I have some fresh updates coming in, and let me quickly go back to Ayushman, who continues to stay with us. In fact, we're getting in some breaking inputs as we speak, and some big ones. As what we are learning is that multiple drones have also been hovering over Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, Lahore and Peshawar. What is it that you are bringing to us, Ayushman?
Absolutely. That is information coming to us from our investigations editor, Manoj Gupta. Akanksha, it seems Operation Sindoor 2.0 is not over yet. And now what we are learning is that, as you were pointing out, multiple drones are still hovering over Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, Lahore and Peshawar. The crucial cities in Pakistan and also crucial areas where a lot of terror operations have also emanated from, namely Sialkot and Peshawar. And now what we are learning is that multiple drones are still hovering over Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, Lahore and Peshawar. This is what top intelligence sources are telling CNN News 18, that Operation Sindoor 2.0 seems to be far from over as we are hitting the morning. Now what we are learning is that multiple drones are hovering over Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, Lahore and Peshawar. So what is the road ahead when it comes to these drones which are hovering over these crucial cities after so much damage has been done by the Indian forces with the launch of the air-to-surface missiles? We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but it seems the operation is still not over.
Absolutely not. Let me actually take that question with Major Manik Jolly also, who continues to stay with us. Major Manik Jolly, it seems like this is going to be a long night for Pakistan.
Yeah, it does seem like that, because I was just reading, there's a platform called Bolan News, and they're saying just 20 minutes back, another suspected Indian missile strike has been reported near Kahuta, a high security area close to Rawalpindi. So this was famous because AQ Khan Research Labs, which were critical for the R&D, they are in this area. So what is happening is, I think what we are getting reports right now is the air bases, but there's quite a possibility that Indian missiles have been targeting other locations also, and it didn't happen in one phase because missile attacks can be actually phased. So maybe we are looking at second, third phase also. So we don't know how long the night is going to be, and so it's going to be a tough night for Pakistan, that's for sure.
All right. And in fact, that also means that we are going to be on high alert. What will this, Major Manik, mean for us Indians in the border states, especially if we were to look at Jammu, Punjab, and of course, even Rajasthan?
Well, definitely high alert, because as the things start to scale up, the kind of operations that countries carry out at successive stages of warfare, they tend to define how serious a country is, how much are they getting sucked up into the war. Till now, like Pakistan was doing drone warfare, probing and sending small drones, these Turkish drones, and trying to hit installation, trying to cause some damage. They fired some missiles. But given the kind of retaliation India has given, and a strong one, and most importantly, a justified one, Pakistan has a tendency to take stupid decisions. Like somebody mentioned in debate today, and you were also saying, we gave them enough chance to not escalate this. We had hit their terror camps, they should have just left it at that. So now also they have the capability of not taking it up, and they have the choice to do that. But I hope they take that choice and do not escalate it further, because it's just going to keep getting worse for them as the days go. So in that desperation, if they take the other call, that we are going to prove something to our people, to ourselves, without realizing the military capability they are dealing with, in their failed sense of pride and all that, they could go for more missile strikes, they could go for air raids, they could go for these standoff air raids, throwing in missiles, they could try and sneak in more terrorists. There's a lot they can do, and the worst part for border areas is that these are the places that will get affected most, because deep inside India is a huge country, and to get into the depth of it requires a lot of capability from Pakistan's side, which they don't have actually. So people have to follow. I think the best thing they can do is follow government instructions. If you are asked for a blackout,
right,
do that, stay inside, and just follow whatever advice comes to you officially.
Well, absolutely. I want to bring in Stephen on that note. Stephen, we also speak on a day when the IMF has decided to go ahead with that additional funding of over $1 billion for Pakistan. So when one is to weigh in on the role that the international community can play, especially the role that these global lending institutions like the International Monetary Fund could have played, one has been also probing the history of Pakistan's reliance on the IMF. What do you make of how Pakistan continues unabated to divert that funding clearly into terror training?
Well, I don't know if they're directing that funding, if they're targeting that funding for terror training. I think that seems to me to be a few steps too far in terms of where
No,
the
but
money
India
is
has
going.
presented evidence. India has presented evidence. The fact that the military is playing a very significant role when it comes to crucial economic calls for the country, that is something that India has also presented in its statement at the IMF today. And clearly, a debt-ridden country can't be, harboring terrorism to this extent if their economy is in tatters. So there's certainly some amount of funding which is coming to sponsor that kind of terrorism, right?
Well, I'm certainly not, please understand, I'm certainly not defending any support for terrorism, but nor am I actually a huge fan of the IMF. But the IMF provides support to all sorts of countries, loans to all sorts of countries that commit human rights abuses, that tolerate terrorism, that may even back terrorism, that do all sorts of dastardly things that allow or perpetuate the mistreatment of women, all sorts that commit crimes against other countries. So I'm not justifying any of that, but I don't think Pakistan is alone by any means in terms of receiving IMF support under these circumstances. And I think even if the IMF were to have snapped its fingers and said, we're not going through with this loan, Pakistan's stance towards terrorism would have remained the same. I don't think it hinges on IMF support for other parts of its apparatus. If I may, just one other aspect of what you asked I wanted to address echoes Glenn's point to some extent, in that you are dealing with a very dysfunctional polity in terms of Pakistan, in terms of the military really substantially controlling the government, setting policy, at the same time that it's in some ways ripping off the country through its own businesses, diversion of resources, and the like. And that adds another twist to all this, another complication that makes it even harder to address how dysfunctional the Pakistan government is, not just to the detriment of India in terms of possible support for terrorism or likely support for terrorism, but even more so to the detriment of its own people and the suffering that they've undergone and the lack of relative economic progress that country has experienced over the decades.
Well, absolutely. And those decades have borne testimony to how it is impossible for any civilian government to function as long as the upper hand remains with the army and the deep state. I'm going to request you, Stephen and Glenn, to continue staying with us. Major Manik also stays with us, but in fact, getting in some more breaking inputs coming in. Now, what we are learning from government sources is that after India struck Pakistan, all major cities in India have now been put on high alert. And this is a decision on expected lines. Ayushman Jamwal joins me live from the newsroom with those breaking inputs. Ayushman,
Kansha, that's the latest update that is coming in. Remember, India has now set the doctrine of custom match attacks to give a befitting reply to Pakistan. So in the avenue of the fact that Pakistan could launch another counterstrike, all major Indian cities are currently on high alert. The entire defense infrastructure is on high alert. Also, the air defense systems have been activated across the border to ensure that any misadventure from Pakistan is met with a swift response. So because India, by targeting 3 Pakistani air bases, by hitting the heart of Pakistan, Islamabad, Lahore, Rawalpindi, now in the fear of a counter-attack, India is ready to face anything that Pakistan throws at it, and all major cities are currently on high alert with the entire defense apparatus now activated.
I want to bring in Major Manoj on that. Major Manoj, what is your response now to the fear of escalation? Everybody is talking about it. We heard Glenn, we heard Stephen, and that's perhaps a valid concern now. But I guess India is prepared.
Yeah, we are prepared, obviously, and we are very, this is on expected lines, as you said. I just want to take a moment to reply to what Mr. Stephen said, especially on the fact he has a certain stand on the whole thing. But what I wanted to comment on what he's saying, that irrespective of we give them IMF funding or not, like IMF gives them funding or not, Pakistan's stand on terrorism is not going to change. So here's what I have to say is that you cannot say that a country which has ample resources and some kind of intentions, they logically would want to pursue it and can pursue it successfully. Secondly, you have never denied them funding to know that will they actually stop terrorism if we stop giving them money? Will they use it? And it is a known thing that the infrastructure, the health services, education, everything is defunct in Pakistan. The generals are exceptionally corrupt. The politicians take all the money. They all settle abroad in US, UK, Europe, Canada, and all that. You know that they take the money, and but just because they've been doing the bidding for US since 80s, since the time Russian came in, you have refused to comment on the terror. You knew the terror factories are there. You knew where the training camps were established. You knew when Al Qaeda was formed. So you cannot say that if we don't give them money, they might not change. You never gave this possibility a chance to even experiment with that thought. Today, when you know that India is in such a critical state with Pakistan, and this is now a time to maybe corner them. Fine, I don't say militarily or just kill them all, but the point is, there could have been a spot where the world could have cornered them. That when will you stop? America found Osama bin Laden hiding in Pakistan after 10 years of carrying out joint operations. What more proofs do you need that they don't care what you think because they know they'll get your money? So you should have given the IMF should have given this a chance this time, that we could have cornered them, that we will not support you till the time you mend your ways. But you lost the chance again this time, and it will continue to be the same story that everybody thinks, oh, they are going to be like this, we give them money or not, so let's give them some more. That's not I don't think that's the right way to go. Anyway, coming on the, what originally
Okay.
Akanksha asked, yeah, that the high alert in all the cities is as expected on the lines, because the thing is, one, war is a brutal business. While we are celebrating all our successes, there is a possibility an odd missile might make it through and land on our cities also. Pakistan has been hitting our civil areas by drone and artillery since past almost a week now. So everybody has to be ready for that contingency. It's good to shout that go war, fight, kill everybody, but I mean, there's a possibility that we also might get hurt at some stage. Hence, it's a good decision for government to issue this alert right now.
Okay.
And along with it, the civil administration comes into action and they will issue necessary directions to everyone. Thanks.
Okay. Stay with me. Going to request all of you gentlemen to continue staying with me. Also joined in by Sushant Sareen, who's a senior fellow at the ORF. Sushant, what a morning to wake up to. India's made some massive strategic victories today when it came to, in fact, reducing those 3 air bases to rubble. And we've not just targeted Pakistan's commercial capital, you're looking at the national capital as well. I'd like your thoughts.
Akansha, you are being very presumptive that you thought people went off to sleep last night. I tried to, but within half an hour, I was so restless that I got up, and then I would imagine that
you should have joined in much earlier then. I'm going to hold this against you.
yeah, but the thing is that I just came to the thought that if Kargil was the first television war in India, this conflict is the first. I can't call it a war as yet, but this is the first Twitter or X war in this part of the world. But look, something was being expected because yesterday, when the Pakistanis had attacked, and they've been attacking us, this is the third night that they attacked us. On the second night after they attacked us, we had the press conference yesterday by the Foreign Secretary, and I would have thought that the Foreign Secretary had given them an off-ramp because he spoke in very measured tones, as he normally does. But he said that the Pakistanis had carried out these attacks, and the Indians, we retaliated in 4 places. He didn't say what the scale of retaliation was, but the way he said it, it was that, okay, fine, we've done it. We're not making a big song and dance about it. We're not gloating about it. We're not making a big deal out of it. And this can become an off-ramp for both sides. And that is the impression I got when I was in the evening when I was on your channel. This is exactly what my impression was. And I think Major Jolly was there at that time, if I'm mistaken not. And my impression was that we've said, okay, fine, let's take this off ramp. But clearly the Pakistanis have this habit of biting off a lot more than they can chew. And they thought that, obviously some damage must have been done. And just because their attacks have not been successful over the last 3 days, that does not give them a free pass. And the thing is that, so quite clearly, I think the message from the Indian side was that if they are now going to start continuing doing this, then we will also hit back and hit back hard. And I think that is what has happened tonight. A lot of these rumors were actually doing the rounds yesterday, but apparently it's happened today. I think now we are in a completely different situation, because the kind of retaliation India has done, it's very clear that the Pakistanis are going to try and hit back. How will they hit back? The reports, which, if we can make some sense out of them, there is that they are going to use their air power, and they're going to try and strike at targets inside India. And we'd have to see how the rest of the air defenses, which have performed exceedingly well
Yes.
against drone attacks, how they perform against the Pakistani
Yes.
fighting.
Stay
Number
with me.
one.
All right. Finish the point, because I have some breaking inputs coming in.
Number two, are they going to start the use of ballistic missiles? Because then we will also go up. Because so far we have not used any ballistic missile. At least there is no report of that. Even the Pakistanis are saying that all the attacks that we've done is from air to ground missiles.
Yes.
These are fighters and which have been used. And so if the Pakistanis are now going to scale up, then I think the response from the Indian side will be similar.
All right. I'm afraid I'll have to interrupt you there, Sushant, because we have some big breaking inputs coming in. After 3 air bases, India has now hit at the Sukkur airport in Sindh. This is another massive blast in Rawalpindi that has taken place. We can officially confirm this through sources that have shared information with Network 18's Security Affairs editor, Mr. Manoj Gupta. Big breaking input coming in. A 4th blast now as India has hit the Sukkur airport in Sindh. As I must tell you that this is a domestic airport, also known as the Begum Nusrat Bhutto airport. In fact, Ayushman joins me with more breaking information on that. Ayushman, what more details can you share with us?
Absolutely, Akanksha. As we've been tracking all these sites that have been targeted by the air-to-surface missiles coming in from the Indian forces, more information coming in where Rawalpindi has now seen another blast. This is what top sources are telling CNN News 18. Information brought to us by our securities editor Manoj Gupta. Also, as you were pointing out, the Sukkur airport in the Sindh area also now being targeted by these air-to-surface missiles as India unleashes on these particular sites in Pakistan in retaliation to Pakistan's drone attacks along the international border as well as the LOC. So we can just add it to the list of the attacks which are coming in. The Sukkur airport has been targeted in Sindh. In Rawalpindi, there is another blast. And as we were reporting earlier, Islamabad, the Noor Khan Air Base, the Murid Air Base, Shekhpura, the Rafiki Air Base, Darawal and Lahore also being targeted by the Indian forces. Air-to-surface missiles deployed when it comes to this offensive coming in from India.
Absolutely. I want to go back to Sushant. In fact, Sushant, before I come to you, let me bring in Major Jolly, who continues to stay with us. Major Jolly, 3 air bases and now a domestic airport. What do you make of the kind of strategic edge that India has displayed today?
It is fantastic. Actually, this is how it should be. If you're fighting a war, it's not a exchange of niceties. You are not expected to it is what India is doing. You take out the air bases. Then I just read somewhere that maybe an air battle is fine. This can be all misinformation. But taking out why they are taking out the other airport is because the moment wars happen, there are some airports which can act as a dual capability, civil as well as military. So if you're obviously the planners, I won't get into detail of that. The planners have decided that we are going to demolish or even mitigate any possibility of aircrafts taking off of this region, because whatever their bigger plan is. But we hold superiority. That's the point to note here. The kind of superiority that we are, the word is enjoys actually. India enjoys right now that absolutely no air defense. India is striking when and wherever we want. This looks like a World War II kind of a setup when the smaller countries didn't have air defense and you
All
could
right.
go and send missiles everywhere. So
All right.
this is fantastic position to be in.
I want to quickly bring in Glenn on that note. Glenn, what is your assessment of the way India has hit out at the air bases? Now this domestic airport, what does it speak of not just our defense, but also our offensive capabilities and the defense preparedness so far?
Well, so far, it appears that India's modernization program of recent years has been bearing fruit. We have all been reading that it's only in the mid-process and that India was far from having really modernized doctrine, training, and equipment, but at present, it's an impressive performance. I can comment more substantively on the policy implications or objectives. India seems to me to have clear objectives that it's trying to achieve. One, obviously, to stop terrorism. These conventional attacks won't do that, but as a response to a terrorist act, they're completely understandable. And then two is to make the point and then stop having made the point. That's clear and sensible. Pakistan's objectives seem to me a lot murkier or incoherent. One could understand a response for pride and national sovereignty, but as one of the gentlemen said, it seemed clear also that India has been providing the off-ramps that one wants to
Yes.
In this sort of response.
Yes.
And Pakistan is not taking them, and I see nothing positive that Pakistan can achieve out of all of this.
Stephen, I want to bring you in quickly about the way the Indian government has in fact put this out. They've said that these are going to be custom match attacks because remember just a day ago our own military installations, whether Udhampur or Pathankot, all of them were attacked. So this is indeed a custom match attack.
Well, you may see it that way. I may see it that way. Pakistan probably doesn't and see it that way. Or even if it does, I get back to the notion of the leadership there saving face, that being their possible imperative here in what generally is, I agree with Glenn, kind of a chaotic handling of this whole confrontation. And we shouldn't underestimate the extent to which they may be wanting to save face as this matter unfolds. The fact that India is now on high alert for return attacks means that I would think the Indian government is assessing that Pakistan might very possibly strike back. What does India do next? That's a good question if that happens. And I've said this before, but I hope that one way or another, a way is found to de-escalate this, maybe mediation by a third party. But we don't want this to get to a point where Pakistan sees no alternative to saving face other than using its ultimate nuclear weapons. Again, I don't think it'll come to that for all sorts of reasons, but we are in very, very dangerous territory now by virtue of that as even a small possibility.
All right, Stephen Golub, thank you very much for joining us. If you're joining us early this morning, it's been a night of attacks and counterattacks. There's been a major escalation in the last few hours. It started with Pakistan trying to send ballistic missiles. That is a major step from these drones that they were sending for the last couple of nights. A major escalation by Pakistan trying to send ballistic missiles to at least 6 different places, all of which has been successfully intercepted. India, in return, has attacked multiple places in Pakistan. The latest that we're hearing is that the Sukur Air Base in Sindh has been attacked. The Noor Khan Ali base in Punjab has also been attacked. So there are multiple locations where this is being attacked by surface-to-air missiles. Pakistan, in response, has now closed its airspace up until noon today, which means this is where India is hit. It is hit close to Islamabad. It has hit the Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi. in Sheikhpura, in Chakwal, which is the Murid Air Base, also in Narowal, the Rafiki Air Base in Shorkot. So you have about 6 or 7 places where India is hit with surface-to-air missiles in what is clearly now the next rung of escalation. We're given to understand that Pakistan is scrambling its jets in response. We don't know what the nature of Pakistan's response is going to be, but this has been a major escalation after Pakistan managed to get that $1 billion tranche of the IMF loan, as well as, of course, after the visit of the Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia to Islamabad. So I think somewhere the calculation now by both sides is that they're now climbing into the next step of the escalation ladder. What happens in the next few hours, we don't know. There is some kind of a response coming from Pakistan. India is, of course, 100% prepared for it. In about 20 minutes' time, I'm given to understand, there will be a briefing in South Block by senior officials of the Defense Forces. We will bring you up to speed as and when we know who is addressing the media. Clearly, it's been a night of major escalation from Lahore to Sindh, Rawalpindi. Multiple air bases have been targeted by India. There's also, by the way, drones that have been hanging around major cities, including Lahore, Islamabad, and Rawalpindi. In Haryana, over the skies over Sirsa, we're given to understand that the Fatah 2, the missile that Pakistan had launched, has been intercepted. So major escalation. There was an attempt by Pakistan to hit the Jammu Air Force Station as well. That too has been intercepted by India's air defenses. So from Lahore to Sindh, India is matching Pakistan tit for tat in what has been a major escalation by both sides. Pakistan, of course, deciding to climb that escalatory ladder after the decision of the International Monetary Fund to give it the $1 billion tranche of its loan, as well as, of course, after the visit of the Saudi foreign minister. Now, Pakistan seems to have made a calculation that they want to up the ante. We're getting more breaking news. This is, again, a bid by Pakistan to try and escalate the attack. The bid has been thwarted. Pakistan tried to attack the Jammu Air Force Station. Remember, Jammu has been in the target for the last 2 or 3 nights now. Remember the drone attacks that happened a couple of nights ago. It started with an attack on the Jammu airport. Now the Jammu Air Force Station was tried to be attacked by Pakistan using some form of missile. We're not sure what nature of missile they tried to use, but that attack, that attempt by Pakistan has been intercepted by India's air defense. So major escalation that has now been thwarted. Also earlier this morning, an attempt was made over Hisar in Haryana. That too has been thwarted by the Indian Defence Forces. Let me try and see if we can go across to Akash first, our defence reporter. Akash, just paint the night for us. Where all has Pakistan tried to attack us, and where all has India responded to this Pakistani escalation?
Right. So it started late in the evening yesterday. In fact, we saw that the ceasefire violations from evening, but then the drone attacks and also the missile came at around 8 p.m. And again, starting from Jammu and Samba, we saw the initial reports and in fact the confirmation that how, drones have been coming, but all of these were thwarted. But this time around, Indian authorities and in fact the agencies, retaliated, and a strong retaliation was there. Noor Khan Air Base, that is in Rawalpindi, Shorkot Air Base, that is in Punjab, that have their JF-17 squadron, and Murid Air Base, that is again in Punjab. We have been told that these air bases have been hit, and in fact the assets, their air assets, including the air defense system, has been hit by Indian forces. We have seen the DGI-SPR confirmation as well, though we will wait for the official confirmation from the Indian Armed Forces, Zaka. But at this point in time, while we are talking, in fact in Jammu, we have been hearing a lot of AD gun sounds, and possibly there was an attempt to in fact destroy some sort of asset or the infrastructure in Air Force station here in Jammu, but it has been thwarted. Our air defense is very much working. AD gun is importantly playing a major role this time around because we have upgraded and in fact incorporated the counter drone technologies in our AD gun systems. So at this point in time, while it is about Jammu, it's the early morning hours, and in fact just a while back we were hearing the air sirens, in fact Zaka, but we have been told that the attempt has been thwarted. In fact a missile was launched towards Delhi as well. This is what we are learning. In fact, Manoj Gupta is bringing us this input where a missile was launched towards Delhi, but it has been intercepted in Sirsa, and in fact the attempt to attack Delhi has been thwarted, Zaka.
All right, so that was the Fatah-2 missile that Pakistan tried to launch to Delhi. It's been intercepted in the skies over Sirsa. Let's try and bring you up to speed with the counter-offensive that India has launched. It's been a very hot night between India and Pakistan. India has launched multiple missile as well as drone strikes starting from Islamabad in the north, Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi. It's one of the largest air bases of the Pakistan Air Force. That has been hit. The Murid Air Base in Chakwal, again, a substantially big air base of the Pakistan Air Force in Murid, in Chakwal. That has also been hit. In Sheikhpura, a third air base in Rafiki, which is in Shorkat, which is further south. All of these are in Punjab, in the very heart of Pakistan, as it were, in Shorkat. The Rafiki Air Base of the Pakistan Air Force has also been hit. And we have one more, the Sukur Airport in Sindh. So Punjab and Sindh, which are the two biggest provinces in Pakistan, have been hit. Also in Narowal and Lahore, but these I think are smaller drone attacks. But India has also replied with ballistic missile attacks in response to what Pakistan tried to do. It launched the Fatah-2 directed at Delhi, but it was intercepted at the skies over Haryana. Let's try and go across to more reporters. Aishman is also joining us from our newsroom. So Aishman, can you bring us up to speed with the places where Pakistan tried to attack overnight and India's air defense systems have intercepted and brought down these Pakistani missiles?
Absolutely, Zaka. We've been tracking through the night the attacks that have been coming in from the Pakistani forces. We saw how they lit up the entire border area all the way from the north in Kupwara, in Uri, where the ceasefire violations were taking place. Then we saw the drone strikes which were taking place in the Jammu area, all the way down to Bhuj. There were several attacks coming in from the Pakistan side, several drone strikes which were coming in from the Pakistan side, which were intercepted by India's advanced air defense system. And that is the latest update that we are getting from our investigations editor, Manoj Gupta, who's also looking at every aspect of the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, where the Fateh-2 missile that has been launched by Pakistan towards Delhi was intercepted at Sirsa. So India's air defense systems continue to be robust, countering any offensive coming in from Pakistan. Pakistan tried those offensives when it came to targeting the military as well as certain civilian areas along the line of control and the international border, all the way from Jammu and Kashmir down to Rajasthan, even to Bhuj in near the Gujarat area. But clearly the air defense system was deterring all those attacks. But the tensions continue to escalate between the two sides because Pakistan is now priming its counter-offensive.
All right, Aishman, we'll leave it at that. I think the big news that we have is that it's been a hot night between India and Pakistan over the last 4 or 5 hours. The escalation started by Pakistan right after its announcement that the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has approved a tranche of $1 billion for Pakistan as part of a $7 billion package that was agreed to a few years ago. The big development is that India has hit multiple air bases of Pakistan from Punjab to Sindh. Pakistan has tried to send ballistic missiles. One of them, the Fatah-2, which is a medium-range ballistic missile with a range of about 400 kilometers, tried to, or at least sent in the direction of New Delhi, which is the national capital, but got intercepted, I'm given to understand, by the Barak air defense missile, the surface-to-air missile. It has been intercepted there, and it has been brought down in the skies over Sirsa in Haryana. Let me go across to our guests in what is, I'm afraid, a very, very serious escalation over the last 4 or 5 hours. Lieutenant General retired Sanjay Kulkarni is joining us, former DG of Infantry. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, is with us. Glenn Carl, former CIA officer, is also with us. Let me start with you, Lieutenant General. What do you make of this sudden and serious escalation by Pakistan? India, of course, responding measure for measure. Do you reckon now we are in the next rung, as it were, of the escalation ladder? We've now climbed to the second rung. Now both countries are sending ballistic missiles at each other.
Good morning, Zaka. Good morning to my fellow panelists. Definitely. I think in the escalatory ladder, we've